Welcome back to Limitless and Unfiltered, the podcast where we ask big questions, laugh at the messy moments, and pretend we totally have our lives together. Today's episode is a little different. We're flipping the script and asking each other some of life's juiciest, funniest, and most honest questions. So let's jump in today.
Excited.
So, Maria,
Yes.
I'm super fascinated with the fact that, yes, we went to school for dental hygiene. And you've kind of, moved realms in the sense of like, yes, you're still in like health and wellness, but you're more on the consumer side, I guess. So I just have a couple questions for you that
Okay.
have been really sitting with me. And I'm like, I wonder.
Yes.
So, first question for you, Maria. As a busy mom of two, how do you manage to take care of your health and wellness without feeling overwhelmed? Um, because I find that I'm having a tricky time with that right now. So, I would love to know, like, how do you do that?
Yeah. I'll tell you the beginning stages of motherhood were definitely a lot different than what they look like now. Obviously, my kids are, 5 and 3, so they're a little bit older. They're still fully sufficient. I mean, fully dependent. Fully
Yes.
sufficient, I wish. No, they're fully dependent on me, right? They're still fully dependent on an adult to be with them. They can't do things for themselves. They don't dress themselves, although Veronica tries. So how do I prioritize myself and my self-care? Well, I've noticed that if I don't, then I'm less tolerant to the parenting aspect of it. I've noticed that my patience is lower when I don't prioritize myself, my well-being, when I don't work out, when I don't eat as healthy as possible. I'm not saying that, we don't eat junk. Yesterday we were all day at a safari and we ate literally disgusting shit all day long, right? But what's important to me is realizing that, like, if I can carve out a certain time in the day for myself, then I can show up better as a wife, as a mom, and for them, truthfully, because if my intolerance is, thin, then it reflects on them. And then they are dependent on me not only for the physical aspects of life, for their own life, but they're also dependent on me emotionally. And if I can't be emotionally regulated, or try to, at least in my very best capacity, then how can I expect them to? Because they're just feeding off of my energy. And so when I started to realize that I had a correlation to working out and like taking care of myself, that had almost a direct impact on my kids and how they interacted with me, that's when I was like, okay, I have to make the time to do this, right? And so whether that on a Sunday, if that means meal prepping for the next 3 days, then that meant like it's in my calendar to meal prep. And like everything is on my calendar. I live off of my calendar, including my workouts. And so, right now my husband and I are trying to navigate like what works best, because I was working out at nighttime, so he would take over for bedtime routine and then I would work out like 7, 8 p.m. Because I can work out and go to sleep. Some people can't do that. But now I've realized that it actually sets me up better if I work out in the morning, because then that gives me the energy and kind of like almost like the peace throughout the rest of my day to do the job that I'm supposed to do with the kids. So I calendar block. Like I really do. I
Good for you.
put it in my calendar, and luckily we have a gym that's open 24/7, so if it means getting up at the ass crack of dawn and going, then that's what it is. Is it comfortable? No. Would I prefer to stay in bed and sleep? Yes, but I've also realized that the flip side of that is that my patience is so thin, so it's become a more of a logical thing for me to do than something that I'm like, oh, I want to work out. Like most of the time I don't get to the gym and I'm like, I am so excited to be here. I'm like, I wish I was in bed, but I know that after that, like I can conquer the day and like be more patient with the kids essentially. So yeah, it came down to that. Before I used to work out because I really did like working out, and the goals were different, the physique, the strength, all of that. Not to say that it isn't now, but now the reason is more so like you're a better mom if you get your body moving. Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, I definitely, I'm trying to get back into my schedule, but I find it so challenging because like I am exhausted and
Mhm.
I'm definitely more of a working out in the morning individual rather than at night, because I agree with you, but like getting out of bed like earlier than when the baby gets out of bed, I'm like, I don't know if I can physically do that.
It depends too, because we were just talking before recording, like what time your babies get up at, right? Like
Yeah.
mine don't get up super early, and if they do, like if your baby's getting up at 5, what time are you going to the gym? 3? Like, and I know people
No
do
way.
it, but like, what time are you going to bed at that point? It
Yeah.
also, depends on how much you sleep you need. I can thrive off of like a 5 hour sleep. I don't mind that. Some people need a full 8 hours. So it's like you really do have to work around your schedule and like figure out what works best for you. And like, yeah, it's tough, dude. It's tough. There are home workouts that people can do. Like, home workouts can be just as effective if you put your mind to it. But again, it's carving out that time and like, where do I fit it in my
Yeah.
schedule?
Yeah. I like it's crazy because like I look at like the hours in a day and I'm like, there's not enough time in the day.
And it's crazy too because we're in that social media world, and if people, you're listening to people like everybody has the same 24 hours, and like you're listening to it from like a 24-year-old like, fitness influencer, and it's like you don't have kids. It's not the same 24 hours. And I'm not making an excuse because I'm one of those people. It's like if you can calendar block and like focus and prioritize, yeah, you can fit everything in your day, but it's not the same 24 hours. It's definitely not.
It's a rough 24.
Mm-hmm.
All
All
right.
right.
So, next question for you.
Oh, you're gonna blast me? Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm
Let's go
gonna
ahead.
bang him out, okay?
All right.
What drew you to Arbonne, and how has being a health sales coach empowered you personally and professionally?
Sure. What drew me to Arbonne, I'm gonna cut the story because it's quite long, but like my first exposure to Arbonne was when we were actually in dental hygiene school.
No way.
So yeah, my first exposure to Arbonne was, oh my God, we had just started hygiene school. And Tara Lynn, who now lives in Bali, she was a consultant at the time, and she had said to me like, oh, I know you're struggling with your skin. I had like acne, like all the things, and like inflammation, all of it. And she said, I know of this company that has clean ingredients. I think it would really work for your skin. And we drove all the way to Mississauga, picked up the products, and that was my first exposure to it. I was 19 years old at the time. And yeah, and then it worked incredibly on my face. I love the skincare, so I went back and like repurchased some of like the makeup products back then, and they were very heavy into skincare and makeup at the time. But then, TL moved away and I lost contact with Arbonne for a long time. So when it was reintroduced to me, oh my gosh, when I was then a dental hygienist, like we're talking decades later, I was a very hard no. I said no to the business. I said I would never do something like that. Truthfully, my ego was so high. I thought, well, I'm a dental professional, like I'm in the healthcare field, like I would never sell personal care products. Like that was just my mentality of like,
Hmm.
it's good for you, not good for me. No, thank you. And for 4 years, I said no to the business and I said no to taking a look at it because I truthfully had an idea of what it was, which was completely wrong when I actually had to look for it. So fast forward years later, out of desperation, we had made some pretty dumb financial decisions, my husband and I. And out of desperation, I actually listened to a business opportunity call. And it was an in person, it was, one on one. And I remember sitting there thinking, like, if this is possible for some people, like why can't it be possible for me? And it
Hmm.
was that moment that like opened my mind completely because I had been such a hard no, but the world has a funny way of humbling you. And I sat there and listened to it. I listened to the numbers and I was like, this is super smart because if I'm already using the product, I was already using the product. That wasn't even a like, I didn't need convincing in that aspect because I
Right.
had seen what it had done for my skin. I was like, well, what if I just dive into a couple of like other products that they have and they had already like branched into nutrition, all that stuff. And I'm like, well, I love health and fitness, so why not do it? And so I was kind of like a hesitant yes, even though like I truly needed it, but still kind of a pushback of like, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be doing this. Like I've never sold a damn thing in my life, which is what I thought. But
Hmm.
then thinking about it, I'm like, I sell dentistry all day long.
Literally, we're like sales associates for
Yeah, 100%.
dentistry.
And like, how do when you look at our position as dental hygienists, we're essentially, quote unquote, selling people on the importance of coming in every three, four,
100%.
6 months. Right?
Yep.
And like, how many people are like, no, I can just come in every 9 months. And you're like, no, you need to come in more. Right? So when I started to look at it that way, I was like, I guess I could do this. Right? And I started to dive into a little bit of like nutrition products. I got curious about that, had a wicked transformation. And that's when I was like, okay, you know what? Like, maybe this is for me. And then I started sharing the product. People started, purchasing off of me. And I still hadn't like clicked in as to how big it could get until I got my first paycheck. And it paid, obviously, I got to say this here because it's going to be posted publicly. If for what's typical, you can go to earnings.arbonne.com. My first paycheck paid for both of our cars. I had a Mercedes, one had an Audi. It paid for our mortgage that month, and it paid for groceries for that week. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, how many other people are struggling financially that I can help do this? I wasn't at the top of the company. Like it was very basic things that I was doing because I was just using the product and sharing. I was like, I could totally do that and start to build, my network that way. And then it skyrocketed. It took a little bit of like a flashbulb moment to open up my eyes to it, because again, I was such a hard, like, I'm never gonna do that. I was undercover for a long time, and by undercover I meant, I would only talk to friends and family. I would never post about it. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that. And then I realized the potential of it and the potential of the impact that I could create on other people, because it created such an impact in mine and Juan's life that I was like, I can't not share it. Like, I would never want somebody 10 years down the road to be like, why didn't you share that with me? I needed it so much. I needed that financial aspect. So now I approach Arbonne as a business opportunity, and like for people to make money, like average people to make money, instead of just like how amazing the products are. The products are going to speak about themselves, but yeah, it's turned into something completely different. And it was that, Jenny, it was getting rid of my ego of like, I'm better than this, and I will never do that, to being like, okay, well, if you can help someone put food on their table, like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, how many opportunities do we get to do that, right? So yeah, and it's up to whoever, I talk to. Like, when I speak to people and bring it to their attention, I'm not expecting anything in return. I just want to expose the product, expose the business. Then ultimately, it's up to that individual to make the decision of what to do moving forward. It was like that for me, so I definitely don't feel like I've ever pushed anybody or am pushy, because this is just part of like life. We are selling things all day long, and if you're a parent, you're selling your rules to your kids all day long. So yeah, I didn't see anything different. So I love it.
No, that's great. And do you feel that social media like helps you build your brand?
Yes, there are people who have done this business without, I know you asked the question of like, how has this helped me in other areas? I think with stepping into social media, I had to, like, I was kind of forced to, because, I said yes to the business, and a few months later the world shut down. So we couldn't do like in-person events, which was essentially how, other people had built their online businesses. Then it just changed completely to fully online, right? As dental hygienists, we were only shut down for a couple of months. So I was like, how do I market myself? This was for both. How do I market myself in a way that I can reach people to know that, hey, I'm open and like continuing to do dental hygiene, but also now I have an online presence, or an online part of that health and wellness business. So yes, I feel like social media definitely helped. Obviously, it's a lot harder to get, think of it this way, it's a lot harder to get 10 people into a room sitting down in front of you so that you can present an opportunity or anything, versus getting 10 views on a story. Like, you've already expanded your potential tenfold when you're on social media, and there's no borders on social media. So you're not tied to who's local to you. You can expand, past the Canadian borders, which is where we are. So I found that as such a massive tool for working my online business, and truly stepping into that discomfort of social media brought me like more confidence. It developed my communication skills. It made me realize that like having conversations and truly caring about people is what connects you to another person. It's not, posting a flyer or posting a sale or posting a promotion. Like, people don't relate to that. People relate to humans. And so I feel like stepping into that discomfort of social media has branched into like all different aspects of communication skills for me. And maybe I wouldn't have had that exposure if I just stuck to dental hygiene in person, because you're already comfortable with the patient coming in, right? Whereas with social
Right.
media, there's eyes on you that like you may not know, and like you have to get comfortable with people judging, people criticizing, and that just builds skin, builds character. And yeah, so it's built a lot of skill sets that I can use kind of everywhere. So I love social media. I think it can be like I've said, a positive tool. It can be nasty and ugly and harmful, but it's on how you use it. It's not necessarily the platform itself.
Yeah, see, that's like my thing where I'm like, I just don't like negativity in my life, so I just try to stay away from anything that could draw it in. But good for you for putting yourself out there. That takes a lot. So, final question for you. What advice would you give to other moms who are curious about starting something for themselves, but kind of feel stuck or maybe unsure about it?
Yeah. That's a good question. The first answer is just start to ask questions. I know it's difficult to do that sometimes, because you're like, I don't want to ask. Some people approach this as like, I don't want to ask questions because I don't want them to think I'm interested and then, have to say no. And the thing is, asking questions is simply just that. Ask questions. If you're curious about it, like, oh, how does that work? You will never know the answer to something that you have in your mind unless you ask the questions to someone who's already been there, to someone who's already doing it, to someone who's already ahead of you in that aspect because they've already been through that discomfort. So first and foremost, ask questions. Secondly, here's the thing. I think society has formed an expectation of mothers of like, I think we talked about this in one of our first episodes. You can either be a really good mom. This is society. You can either really be a really, really good mom, or you can be a really good entrepreneur. And somewhere along the line, society has said you cannot be both.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
if you are a really good entrepreneur, it means that you're not spending time with your kids. And if you're a really good mom, then how do you have time for a business? Where I'm here to call out BS on that, because I truly believe that women have the capacity to be damn good at both. You can be a really good mom and a really good entrepreneur and have businesses and go for your goals. Like, at what point did motherhood become the point where we give up on our goals and dreams? That is despicable to me.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely hard.
yeah.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, and yes, it is hard, but at the same time, it's not something that is like, oh, okay, well, I have to pick one over the other. Do you have to switch your schedule? Yeah, you're gonna have to, especially like every stage has its challenges. The newborn stage has a challenge. The out of the newborn stage has a challenge. The toddlers has a challenge. When they go to school, there's challenges like, maybe the school calls you in the middle of the day, and like, yeah, you do have to kind of drop things and go pick up the kids, but like every stage has its moments where you can dedicate some time to you. I'm one of those women that's like, maybe because I was very much like that. I made my whole personality motherhood at one point.
Hmm.
Like, everything about me was, oh, but I'm a mom, but I'm a mom, I'm mom, mom, mom. And it's like, who were you before motherhood? And I'm not saying that part of you doesn't change and evolve and shift, because I sure as hell am not the same person before motherhood that I am now. But that doesn't mean that you cease to exist as a human, as a woman.
Hmm.
Like, you need to go after your goals. You need to have personal goals in order to show your kids what's possible. I think something I heard, and I think it was Ed Milet one day that I heard him in one of his podcasts. Actually, no, in person. I saw him in person, and he said, one of the forms of parental neglect is not going after your goals. And people in the crowd were like, what is that? How does that equate to parental neglect? Because people think neglect is like hitting them or screaming at them or that, right? But parental neglect in this aspect is, how can you sit there when your children are telling you, now they're older and they're telling you they have goals and dreams, and go and be like, yes, you can do it all, but you gave up on yours. So what example did you just give your kids throughout their whole lifespan, essentially, for you to
Yeah.
sit there and tell them, yes, you can achieve it all, but mommy and daddy didn't do that? And I'm not saying that, like, obviously there's different scenarios for everything. So this is no shade to people that, like, immigrants that like have to come here, and yeah, they gave up their goals in their country to come here and like work and get their kids off the ground, right? But
Right.
we are very privileged in this society to be able to essentially make money on your phone. So it's not just about that, but like, if you want to own a brick and mortar business, you dedicate time to that. You can do that. You do not have to get lost in motherhood. So yeah.
Amen to that, sister.
Mm-hmm. Wow, you brought me like business questions. I have fucking funny ones for you.
Oh, that's so.
So you gave me some serious ones, so we'll give you some serious ones, and then I'm gonna throw some funny ones at you. Okay, ready? Some of these
Yes.
would be really short answers. Okay, let's go to, what's your real opinion on people who post their relationship constantly online? Is it cute, or are they trying to convince themselves?
Gosh, I would say it could go either way.
Okay.
Either way. I think it depends on the individual. I feel like a lot of people a lot of people post things and
Mhm.
portray themselves to be in this happy, loving relationship, which I'm sure most of them are. No relationship is perfect. I'll be the
Right.
first to say that. But I definitely think that people who post more than the average individual, they're trying to prove something to themselves, prove something to their circle or to their audience. Because I always find that the most successful people keep things in private. And that success could be business, it could be life, love. I feel like when people are quiet, like you move in silence, right?
Mhm.
Like you don't share those things. Also, for me, like I'm not one to really share my private life either, just because I like to keep it quiet and intimate, right? Like I don't
Mhm.
need the whole world seeing what's going on behind the
Mhm.
screen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's, you don't
So,
need the validation from others.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's not me, right? I'm just more of a private person.
Yeah. I used to get mad at Juan when we first started dating because like I would, prior to me using social media as like a marketing tool, I would post a lot of ridiculous things on social media. It was a lot of oversharing. And when we started dating, I would like get mad at him because, I would post about him and he wouldn't post about me. And I'm like,
Oh,
why aren't you posting about me? Like, are you like, do you not want people to? And so I approached it that way. But then I realized, obviously through years, that that wasn't coming from a place of like actually feeling like I needed validation from him. I felt like I needed
right.
the validation from like others to be like, oh, look, she's in a relationship. And we can get deep rooted as to where the hell that comes from, but like essentially it was nothing to do with like him or our relationship. It had something to do with me personally, like what was I struggling with at the time that I needed that approval from others. Now I could care less.
Yeah.
I know what our relationship is like and like how solid we are, so I don't care if he posts about me and I don't care if I post or not about him. Like it has nothing to do with how our relationship is.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Amen to that. I totally agree that it's just,
Yeah.
I
It
don't
comes
know.
with emotional maturity, I think.
Absolutely. For
Yeah.
sure. I agree with you.
Good. Next question.
Yeah.
This can get spicy.
Okay.
Okay. Is emotional cheating worse than physical cheating?
Oh my gosh, Kay, so funny. So funny that you're bringing this up. Okay, so on Saturday, I was in the car with my cousin.
Hmm.
And so I have a rental car still because of all that bullshit
Yeah.
that happened to our vehicle a month ago.
Hmm.
And so I don't have my Sirius XM. So we're listening to 92.5 Razamoka. Love them.
Love them. Yeah.
And so one of the questions that came up was, is flirting considered cheating?
Ooh.
So like we were in the car and we're like absolutely. So I would have to say yes. I definitely think any type of emotional flirting can lead into that, but it's also it's the thought of being like, oh, it's okay. I can be fun. It's harmless. It's not harmless because
Yeah.
something so small can turn into something very large very fast.
Well, that too, and like it doesn't even need to turn into something large. To me, like, why would you even want to explore any type of flirting? Like, there has to be
For
some sort of
sure.
emotional thing that you are attracted to this person.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself an extremely jealous type, but I would not tolerate that. Like, if you're
Yeah.
flirting with someone, what is the purpose of that? What is the end goal? And I know that some people, I've heard this before, like, I just have a flirty personality. The fuck you don't.
Oh, Maria.
What do you mean a flirty
That's the
personality?
Latina coming out. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think that it's so disrespectful towards the individual, like to the
Bang
person
on.
you love.
Bang on. It is disrespect on every level. Like
Yeah.
whether you're flirting, emotionally cheating, physical cheating. I think physical's the finish line. Like you went home run and now you're out. But yeah, no. I'm with you on that. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Okay. If someone cheats but is actually sorry and willing to do the work, would you stay?
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
No. I'm like, you get one chance and that's it. I don't have patience for that. And that's like also, lovers and friends. Like I have a really hard time. Like I can forgive people, but I can't forget. But once you
Thank you.
burn a bridge with me, that's it. I don't know what it is. I'm just hardwired that way that like just feel too deeply
Hmm.
where I can't let certain things go. So for me it's like
No.
it's a hard no.
Yeah, it's a hard no for me, and I think it ties back to what you were saying. It's disrespectful. How can you get into bed? Again, this is a relationship. How can you get into bed with a partner who you know has disrespected you to the level of that, of like cheating on you? Because now where is your dignity? Like
Yeah.
where do you have your dignity that you know that this happened? Like I could never. I could
Yeah.
never be like, okay, yeah, okay, you've done the work. What work?
And
Like if you
another one that I could never do is if there's a guy dating somebody in a serious relationship or in like a semi-serious, whatever the case may be, and they start to talk to you while they're kind of like on the way out of their relationship
Mhm.
and leave their current partner for you, that's a hard no.
Yeah, absolutely not. That
Because
shows you
for
what he's
me,
capable of doing.
shows the personality right there.
Yeah.
Hell no. Even if like their relationship is on the rocks, I don't care. I think right there it shows that you were capable of doing it again and again.
Yeah.
Hard no.
What guarantees that they won't do it to you,
Yeah.
right? Okay, I have one more and then a funny one at the end. The funny one will just be a very quick one. Okay, ready?
Sounds good.
Okay, the last one for you, semi-last one. Is cancel culture toxic, or is it just a way of holding people accountable in a new form?
Think that it's cancel culture to me is kind of juvenile. Yeah, like I find it extremely juvenile. I think it's stupid. Like, especially when it comes to people who like celebrities or
Hmm.
people who are more well known in certain industries, social media, like who cares?
Yeah, who really cares?
That's their drama to deal with now. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like let them deal with it. Like this whole new Coldplay.
Oh my God.
Who cares what
God.
people have done? Like sucks to be
I
them. Sucks
It
to be
does.
them.
It does sucks to be them, and we can talk about this, but like I actually hate what's going on. I hate that they're using this as a marketing. Like IKEA is one of those companies that I'm like, I love you, but like how why? Like they release some sort of marketing thing on this regard on the couple. And all I can think of, maybe because it comes from, my place of like having been cheated on in the past, is like there's other people involved in this. It's not about the
The
couple who was
kids.
blasted, the kids, the other spouse, like.
Yeah, the innocent spouses. Yeah.
And the kids are actually old enough to know. Like, the kids are actually on TikTok upset about what they're seeing about their parents. Like, these aren't children that, like, you can somewhat hide from them. These children are big, like, old enough and mature enough to know what their mom and dad just did on either side. So, like, how about let's not try and monetize and like try and cancel and like all this shit about like something that clearly was wrong, but we're not thinking about the other party here.
Yeah,
Like all the
I
other parties
agree.
involved. Ugh, ick. Absolute ick. Although I'm glad they all got fucking fired. Excuse my language. Ugh. Yuck. Anyways, last and final question for you. This is a funny one, and I thought about it actually as I was showering. All right, Jenny, I have heard this on other platforms and on Instagram, and like people post about it. In fact, I'm going to post a poll on it because I think it's hilarious. When you take a shower, do you wash your feet?
Well,
Jenny!
yeah, because all of the soap that I'm standing in is just washing my feet.
So you don't actually lift up your feet and wash them?
Oh, no, I do. Like, I
Okay,
give them
okay.
like a swipe. I'm not in there massaging my toes or anything like that.
You literally worried me for a little bit. I was like, what do you mean? You don't just
Yeah,
stand in
you see,
your.
I always swipe my feet. I'm a barefooted person, like even in the house, like,
Yes.
and I don't know what it is. Like I walk around in the house barefoot, hate wearing slippers. My husband's like, you need to wear socks. I'm like, no, and then I get really angry when I can feel shit on my feet. So I'm like, why are there crumbs on the floor? Get the vacuum. Anyways, yes. So I do like a swipe on my feet.
Okay, so my follow-up question to that is, okay, so obviously you're wiping everything for those
Yeah,
of you who
yeah,
can't see
yeah.
I'm wiping my
Loofah,
butt.
loofah.
Okay, you're wiping, okay, whatever. How far do you go then? Like where do you stop?
Well, wherever my like loofah goes, my loofah gets in between and all around town.
Broski, are you going all the way down your legs?
Always, always.
Okay.
Oh my God, always. Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. Jenny, you passed the test. There are people who do not wash their feet. The
Oh,
argument is I'm standing in soapy water, so it's fine. That's why when you said it at the beginning, I was like, Jenny.
well, no, 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 no. But like, yeah, you gotta walk like even behind your knees. Like,
Yes. Okay, good.
yeah, yeah, because for
Yeah.
sure. Oh my God, my feet. Yeah, I'm always
Yeah.
barefoot. I've got to wash
Yeah.
my feet.
Think of it this. I need people to think of it this way. For those of you who are like, I've never washed my feet in my life. You're first of all disgusting. Secondly, you got to think of your feet as the hands of your legs. Do you wash your hands?
For sure.
Wash your hands. Okay, wash your feet.
And I'm like, very much. I go for pedicures every 2 weeks. Like,
Oh, you're on it.
I'm on it. But yeah, no,
Oh,
you loofah everything.
you loofah everything. You fucking kill me. Okay, good. I'm glad we wash our feet here. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you had a little laugh at the end here with us, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.